If you've ever stepped onto a youth sports field to coach, or honestly, even just watch from the sidelines as a parent, you know it can look like utter chaos. Just kids running everywhere. But what if I told you that right beneath all that chaos is a highly predictable, scientifically measurable process of human development? In today's Explainer, we're diving deep into exactly how coaching impacts child development. Because understanding that process, that is your absolute secret weapon for effective youth coaching.
Now, I really want you to think about this next stat because it's a pretty shocking reality. More than 73% of all kids in organized youth sports end up completely quitting by the time they hit 13. Yeah, 73%. That means nearly 3/4 of these young athletes are just walking away from all the physical, mental, and social benefits of sports before they even step foot into high school. So we've got to ask ourselves, what in the world is driving them away in such massive numbers?
Well, a huge part of this dropout crisis really comes down to one glaring issue. Fewer than 20% of youth sport coaches have actually received any type of training. Think about that. That means 80% of those well-meaning parents and volunteers out there are just relying on gut instinct or, honestly, the outdated methods they went through when they were kids. It creates this environment where rigid adult expectations get forced onto children who are simply not developmentally ready for them.
So to fix this crisis and keep kids in the game, we're going to follow this roadmap today. 1. The youth coaching crisis. 2. Science over X's and O's. 3. Three domains of development. 4. Age-appropriate coaching reality. And 5. The responsible coach.
All right, let's jump right into Section 1, the youth coaching crisis.
So for our analysis today, we're drawing insights directly from the official U.S. Youth Soccer Coaching Manual. This manual is a total game changer because it completely shifts the paradigm. It emphasizes that true player development focuses entirely on the development of the child, not just the team. You see, way too many coaching books obsess over the X's and O's for older players, completely ignoring those crucial developmental ages of 5 through 14. But the golden rule here is simple. The needs of the child absolutely must be placed above the convenience and self-interest of the adults running the program.
Which brings us to Section 2, Science over X's and O's.
Here's the thing. Coaching isn't just about sports tactics. It's deeply, deeply rooted in science and psychology. Instead of a rigid one-size-fits-all approach, really brilliant educators use something called the slanty line concept. This was introduced by physical education teacher Muscom Austin, and it's all about placing every single player in a situation where they can personally succeed. So, practically speaking, if one player can do 15 ball taps in 30 seconds, you challenge them to do 20. If another kid is already at 22, well, challenge them to hit 25. You aren't holding everyone to the exact same absolute standard. Instead, you just adjust the slant of the challenge so that every single child experiences success and progress, no matter their current physical ability. We've all seen that outdated drill sergeant mentality on the sidelines, right? The endless lines, laps, and lectures. Not only does this isolate kids and create serious anxiety, but it literally works against their development. On the flip side, a modern, child-centered approach leans on Richard Smith's schema theory. This theory tells us that children up to age 14 need a really wide range of movement experiences to be able to solve future physical challenges. Early specialization actually caps the child's athletic ceiling. They need to run, jump, tumble, and just play in a variety of ways to properly build up those fundamental movement schemas.
Okay, let's move on to Section 3, Three Domains of Development.
This is absolutely crucial. Every single coaching decision you make has to be dictated by 3 developmental pillars: physical, cognitive, and psychosocial. The psychomotor pillar is all about how they move. You have to remember that their center of gravity and balance are constantly shifting as they grow like weeds. Then there's the cognitive pillar, which is how they think and perceive the world. But that third pillar, the psychosocial one, that is often the most neglected. You literally cannot teach a physical skill in isolation. A child's emotions, their need for friendship, their intrinsic motivation, it's all completely tangled up with their physical performance on the field. If you ignore even one of these pillars, the whole structure just collapses.
To put this into perspective, think about this powerful metaphor from Kazantzakis' Zorba the Greek, about forcing a butterfly from its cocoon. A man tries to warm a cocoon with his breath to speed up the butterfly coming out. And the result? The butterfly emerges totally crumpled, its wings ruined, all because it didn't have the required biological time to prepare itself. It's a stark reminder of the profound danger of rushing a child's natural development before they are physically or emotionally ready. When we force complex tactics or heavy adult expectations on young kids, we are doing the exact same thing. We're disrupting the great laws of nature.
Let's see how this plays out in Section 4, Age-Appropriate Coaching Reality.
So, let's take players between 5 and 8 years old. According to Piaget's stages of development, these kids are moving into the concrete operational stage. Now, what does that actually mean? It means their universe is just starting to expand past their home environment, but they are still highly egocentric and rooted totally in the present moment. So their ability to process complex, multi-step tactical instructions, it's essentially zero.
This means an under 8 player is not going to pass to the open winger because it's tactically the smart move. No way! They're going to pass to their best friend because social acceptance is what actually drives them. They have a very fragile self-concept and can be so easily bruised by negative comments from adults. Plus, for them, effort is literally synonymous with performance. If they tried really hard, they genuinely believe they played a brilliant game. They don't care about the club's prestigious name, they just care that they're on Coach Tom's team. And above all else, they are motivated entirely by intrinsic fun. But as we shift gears to the 11 and 12-year-olds, players enter this incredibly fertile period for learning. Abstract thought finally starts to emerge. This is Piaget's formal operational stage, and wow, everything changes here. Their physical power increases rapidly, sure, but more importantly, their brains can actually sequence thoughts, actions, and consequences in real time.
It is only at this older stage that you can actually expect players to simultaneously handle the physical mechanics of the ball while processing advanced tactical spacing on the field. For the very first time, the concept that field space can be covered by a series of small, strategic passes actually clicks for them. But keep in mind, their socio-psychological world has also become way more complex. Peer group attachments and cliques start forming. Popularity heavily influences their self-esteem, which then directly impacts how confidently they play. So, as a coach for this age group, you aren't just managing athletes anymore. You are managing a very delicate social ecosystem.
All right, let's wrap this up with Section 5, the responsible coach.
To combat that anxiety and build true character, the absolute best coaches out there implement what's called the ELM mastery approach. Research explicitly shows that when coaches focus solely on the scoreboard, players' anxiety spikes. And that anxiety causes them to play tentatively, make a ton more mistakes, and it honestly just drains the joy right out of the sport. But when you focus on effort by rewarding 100% hustle, on learning by encouraging constant improvement, and on mistakes by embracing them as a totally normal, vital part of growth, you cultivate a resilient athlete. You build someone who actually welcomes feedback and isn't paralyzed by the fear of failing. You can actually protect a child's intrinsic motivation just by changing your post-game question. Instead of asking, "Did you win?" try asking, "How did you play today?" We absolutely have to break away from this toxic adult mentality where winning equals success and losing equals failure. Listen, children know what the score is. You really don't need to remind them. By asking, "How did you play?" you force them to focus on their effort, their skill development, and their teamwork. You're teaching them that there's literally no such thing as a loss if they truly went out there and did their best.
So, as you step onto the field next time, I really want you to ask yourself this one vital question. Are you going to let their developmental stage dictate the game, or will you let the scoreboard dictate their development? As we've seen in this explainer, true player development is an incredibly delicate process. It requires patience, deep understanding, and a profound respect for the science of how kids actually grow. When we choose to coach the child first and the sport second, we aren't just creating better athletes, we're building confident, resilient human beings who are going to carry these lessons long, long beyond their playing days. Keep that in mind the next time you go to blow that whistle.